Hi, I'm Grant.
And I'm Kathy. Welcome back to our Change How You Think weekly video podcast.
If you'd like to hear from us every week, then subscribe to our video by clicking on the weekly video tab at the top of this page. Fill in the subscription form and you'll get our free ebook, Healthy Moods.
Throughout our series on coping with the pandemic, we've been telling you to talk to Jesus about your concerns so he can give you peace, even when the world is in an uproar.
And that all sounds great, but it doesn't work if you've never been taught how to hear Jesus speaking to you. We grew up in the church and no one ever told us, so we know how frustrating that feels.
In the Free Your Mind program, we have a course that teaches you the many ways God speaks and how to hear him speaking directly to you. We thought that it would be very helpful right now to help you through the pandemic upheaval.
This week we're going to play an excerpt from the course that explains how to recognize God's voice. When you can hear God's comforting and reassuring words, it will help you through these trying times. And we'll talk to you after the video. Welcome to Lesson 6 of God Speaks. In the last lesson, you learned that God speaks to us in our spirits. Then his words or images are passed through our minds so we can recognize them.
There are three sources of thoughts: God, Satan, and ourselves. The key to hearing from God is to identify his thoughts among all the other thoughts that are clamoring for your attention. In this lesson, you will learn how to become aware when God is putting his thoughts into your mind.
Here are some tips that will help you recognize God's thoughts. First and foremost, God will never say anything that would contradict his written word in the Bible. So the more you know the Bible, the easier it will be to separate his voice from all the others.
God's voice will always be consistent with his loving personality. It will not get you upset, worried, angry, or make you feel condemned. His voice can correct you, but not make you feel bad about yourself or make you want to give up. That's condemnation.
God does not speak in an angry voice. If you get a thought that says, "Wow, are you ever stupid?" it is not compatible with God's character. He loves you too much to talk like that.
Does what you're hearing make sense or seem wise? If you get a thought to go and attack the Philistines, it may be in the Bible, but it sure doesn't make any sense today.
Unless you know some Philistines. As you get used to hearing God's voice, you may find it has a unique personality that separates his voice from yours. His words are steady, calm, authoritative, and comforting.
God's thoughts are likely very different from your frantic, fearful, or angry thoughts. His words bring peace, reassurance, or may settle an issue that you are struggling with. He won't argue with you. He'll just calmly tell you the truth, though.
I will often spot God's voice when I get an unexpected idea in my head that I've never thought of before, which answers a question or solves a problem. For example, you might suddenly know where to look for a lost item that you'd been searching for.
We've read stories of Christians who suddenly got unexpected thoughts that gave them breakthroughs in business. One person woke up suddenly and had a string of letters and numbers in their mind. And those numbers and letters turned out to be a chemical formula for a breakthrough product that solved a problem in their industry.
Another had a dream of an engineering diagram for a new revolutionary product that they were able to mass produce.
We know a woman who woke up with a string of letters and numbers in her mind. God told her it was the password to her husband's cell phone, where she proved her suspicion that he was having an affair.
God speaks to you the way you speak. He doesn't use King James English. That makes it easier to understand, but it also makes it easier to miss since you think it's your own thought. Don't discount a thought just because it sounds like you.
He usually speaks directly to you in first person, just like he's standing right in front of you, because he is. Even though God's voice is quiet, it still has all the power and authority of the voice that spoke the earth into existence.
God's voice will often give me the answer to something I've been worried or praying about. Sometimes he just puts the answer into my mind even before I have finished praying the question.
When God gives me an answer to a question, it gives me a sense of relief that I wouldn't get with my own thoughts. Mine just argue with me and I go around in circles. God's words carry revelation knowledge. That's why they can settle an issue.
I find the most difficult time to tell if I'm hearing from God is when I ask Him for direction and I hear exactly what I want to hear. Is this me telling myself what I want to hear for selfish reasons and wanting it to be God's voice?
Or is it God agreeing with us because it was His idea all along and He wants us to go ahead? In those situations, we will ask Him to confirm what we think He's saying, or we'll discuss it with another mature Christian.
Don't be surprised if God says something that makes you laugh. God has a sense of humor. I mean, that's where you got yours. It's happened to me many times when I've asked God a question and the answer is unexpectedly funny. At those times, I can sense that God's laughing with me.
Not at you.
No, always with me.
As we've discussed before, God may give you pictures in your imagination, so pay attention to them. Your imagination can be a busy place, so you have to train yourself to look for God's images and ignore the other ones.
So listening to God is something you learn and practice. When you're praying, you need to actively listen for God's replies and watch for His pictures. Listen for thoughts you normally wouldn't have and ideas that you'd never thought of before. That's God speaking to you because you're His child.
So you have the ability to hear God speaking to you directly. You just have to practice. Jesus loves to talk to His children. He's always available and happy to chat.
When you can have a two-way conversation with Him, it makes your faith come alive and you feel so much closer to God. It's the most valuable key to managing your thoughts in the pandemic.
If you'd like to learn all the ways God talks to us and practice hearing from God personally, why don't you join us in the Free Your Mind program and do the course God Speaks? It will revolutionize your walk with God.
The Free Your Mind program is a great way to be transformed mentally, spiritually, and emotionally during lockdown. You can learn more about it using the links below this video.
We'll talk to you again next week, but this week, start a two-way conversation with God and listen to His voice.